Hey, this is William Tincup and Ryan Leary. You are listening, hopefully watching the You Should Know podcast. We're going to be talking today about how to get ready for AI and HR, something all of us would like to know more about. We've got a wonderful guest on from Ireland. She's American, but has lived in Ireland long enough to say she's Irish. You will believe, Stephanie, you have an Irish passport too, yeah?
I do have an Irish passport.
I'm jealous.
Which
I'd love to have an Irish passport.
Which is very handy, except for when I'm going into the U.S. and they're like,
Yeah, we don't want your type here.
Yeah.
No.
Dude,
Not
I
anymore.
got yelled at in the Atlanta airport for actually using my Irish passport, and the guy was not nice.
Yeah.
He was not
No.
nice.
Not many Americans are nice. You know.
No. Well, there's a period when Irish were coming to America. This is back in the 19th century, but they were treated really poorly, like extremely no Irish. Like we're serving all for breakfast or whatever the bit was. No Irish. The signs were everywhere. They did the same thing with
And now,
Italians.
the Americans come over to Ireland and expect a really big welcome, and they get it.
Do they really?
Yeah, they do. They get it. There's a really strong affinity between the States and here. And what I like to think, having traveled all over the place, but having hung out with Irish people for the past almost 30 years, is, everybody likes the Irish. So just go with it.
It's true.
It kind of
There's a-
feels that way.
Oh yeah, you can't hate Irish people.
No,
That's
No.
very difficult to hate Irish people.
they know how to play hard and work hard. And
Oh,
to
yeah.
me, that's just a great combination.
I watched this new show. It's a show about football, and it's on Sky, and it has Roy Keane on it. And I loved him as a football player, but he's just very matter of fact.
He's
Like
very dry.
He's
and
very dry, very,
cynical.
very cynical. Well, that was also his playing style.
Yeah,
When he was a player, he was very matter of fact then too.
yeah.
So I
He
like
is a
that.
little bit to the extreme, I'm happy to say. Most Irish people are pretty,
Yeah.
amiable and chilled out and, happy to welcome you and surface nice as they'll actually admit to. Very surface nice.
There is a last story. There is a really interesting story between the Choctaw Nation and Ireland. So they got wind of the potato famine somehow, some way, right? And they raised money. The Choctaws, they actually raised money and sent it to Ireland.
Wow.
It's
Like the
crazy.
people who had the least amount of money to give.
It's like this crazy story of this tribe
I've heard that somewhere before. I'm going to have to go check that
in
out.
America, in Oklahoma. They're more in the southern states, but they were rounded up and put in Oklahoma. And then they heard about how bad it was in Ireland.
It was
And
bad.
and yeah, right. So and then they raised money. They sold stuff, and they raised money, and they just sent money. I mean, you can just imagine sending cash to
Through the
to
post.
to Ireland, and it's just like, and it's
An
funny
envelope
because
made out to Ireland
Ireland,
with a
yeah,
wedge
just
cash in it.
here's some cash, y'all, do whatever you have to do. But it's just weird because there's been an exchange program for years where the Choctaws will go to Ireland and Irish will come to the Choctaw Nation.
All
And
because one person decided to make a donation.
100%,
That's
hmm
that's just cool.
100%. They
That's
just
really
saw people in need. They heard about this famine, and they'd already been through their own hardships as a tribe, and so they understood being displaced, not having food, not having
Well, I'm going
money,
to
and
have
they're
to check
just
that out so that I can make sure that I'm part of the welcoming committee next time the Choctaw Road.
well, they're thriving now. They have a casino. Actually, they're doing well. So if
I'm
Ireland ever
part.
gets jammed up now,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah,
they're sitting on it right now.
they're
I'm
doing better
part
than us.
Cherokee. Do the Cherokees and Choctaws get on with each other?
No, they hate each
I
other.
didn't think so.
Five
Okay,
civilized
that's okay.
tribes. They call them civilized. They all hated each other. Creek, Choctaw, Chickasaw. They all hated each other because they were all territorial,
Yeah, of
and
course.
they're all in the South. So they all fought over land and raided each other. And yeah, I mean, they got together. It wasn't like the Iroquois Confederacy where they're all Iroquois in upstate New York. They got along with each other well enough to meet and do commerce. In the South, not
Not
so
so much.
much. Not so much. All right, so
Okay,
AI. How do we get ready
AI.
for this AI? What are we doing?
What are we doing? So,
Where do we start?
we had an interesting kind of prep call a couple of weeks ago,
Yep.
and we talked about all different kinds of things, HR. But what we landed on is an area that I've become really, really passionate about over the past couple of years, and that's AI. And a lot of people are asking, well, why? And to be perfectly honest, I just left my role as the Chief People Officer for Ernst & Young EY here in Ireland, and excited to be going and setting up my consultancy business. And went out to Southern California, got away from the Irish winter. It was absolutely gorgeous out there. Came back here and it was still winter for a really long time. I got into a bit of a funk. And the only thing that kind of perked up my interest was AI and the data and how you could actually take repetitive work and automate it. And how you could actually, I just started to really understand the implications are going to be so incredible. The average bear is not paying attention to how huge the impact is going to be. So if I just kind of go off for a second or two and kind of
Sure.
describe all the things that I see in terms of the impacts, we've structured our organizations worldwide on jobs. Whether we're hierarchical or whether we're flat, we're structured around jobs. We hire for jobs. We talent manage for jobs. We pay review, salary review, performance review within a specific job. And we develop people and we do succession planning. A job is not agile enough for an AI world where the technology is going to change the way that we get work done so quickly. We need to shift to being skills based. And skills based has gotten a lot of airplay in the past couple of years. Josh Bernson is quite prolific talking about it, as he is about a lot of things. But where AI is really, where skills based is getting traction is through generative AI, because of how quickly the technology is going to help us with not just the repetitive kind of work, but in HR in particular, the sentiment analysis that we can do on employee engagement surveys that we used to have to spend tens of thousands of dollars and months to go work with organizational psychologists to interpret all the psychological data and statistical data. Have we interpreted that correctly? Then we have to go up with focus groups and we have to ask questions. AI can do all of that for us like in 2 seconds, so that we spend all the time and the energy on verifying the data and what does it mean to individuals. So that's just one example. Take another one, like you're hearing a lot about agents this year. L&D. In the past, we would have said, okay, we've got this great new idea for an L&D program. So you're kind of the junior person who's going to pull together the content for this. Go and talk to the subject matter experts in this field and the people whose populations are going to take these courses. Find out what their needs are. Let's make sure that we've got the content right. And there's a whole back and forth of all this data gathering and chasing up the people. You can assign that to AI. The agent can do all of that work, and the only thing slowing the agent down from getting it done in about 5 minutes is the human it needs to interact with to pull the information from. If it didn't rely on the human to go get the information, it'd be lickety split. So if we then get agents doing what those subject matter experts are doing in a role, in a part of a department that has a set of competencies, the agents work with each other. The humans are still the ones going, this is what makes the most sense for the organization's priorities. This is what makes the most sense for our culture. But the agents are able to get stuff done. That takes half of an L&D team and allows them to actually spend all of their time on the delivery, on the
So,
connection.
so
Go
Stephanie,
on.
what's the real impact then on of AI on employees? Is it how is it impacting their experience? Is it making it better for them? Is it making it more challenging? What's the real impact that you're seeing?
You're good at the questions, Ryan. You're good at questions.
I try.
He got a point this time, William. He's ahead of you
Yep.
this time.
Happens.
There
They
we go. I
score.
am the
Score.
Neil of this one.
A broken clock is accurate twice a day.
There's there's no lack of impact on an employee. So um, if we start through the employee life cycle to try to put a little structure around it, right now, a lot of people haven't, prior to AI, having come onto the scene in the past 2 years, a lot of people weren't aware of how much AI was already built in to the selection process, to when you submitted your CV, how the algorithm actually pulled keywords out, determined if you were a good fit against the job description. Well, now we actually know about that, and now we actually need to check for bias and make sure that the way that the algorithm is set up is actually being fair. So the employee has hopefully a better sense of confidence through transparency if the organization's on the ball to know this is how it is that my information is being used and how I'm being selected, and I can tell that it's a very fair process. Hopefully, the organization is on the ball with the way that their scheduling is done. So you've got an agent that's saying, hi, Ryan, let me actually tell you all about our company. Let me give you a little bit of company history. Let me tell you about this role. Let me show you a couple of videos that you might be interested in. Ask me anything that you want about this job. And if you're interested, we see that you would fit really well. Why don't we go ahead and schedule an appointment with you to talk to the first person? So the process is seamless. You get spoken to really quickly. You get followed up really well. And then it flows into you being an employee, and then you get that same level of care in terms of your onboarding. Let's take everything that you've already done, Ryan. We're not going to start all over again. You've already learned a load about us. Now let's talk about your role. Let's help you meet your team. So AI doesn't replace the human. It augments the human. Sometimes AI is doing the talking. Sometimes the human's doing the talking. Sometimes they're working together. But all the way through an employee's life cycle, they're then going through learning and development for their role. Typically new into your role for the first 12, 24 months, you get a learning and development plan. Well, now we can hyper personalize that. And you don't have to wait for the course to come available. The course will more than likely be available offline that you can take in your own time, or there'll be smaller cohorts that you can get in with, and you peer learn with each other. So there's all kinds of really fresh ways of learning that'll help you get up to speed faster. And I think if we start to move into more of a skills-based environment, that whole job construct is going to become a lot more fluid and a lot less the way that we're structured, and it's going to be around project work and specific deliverables where we're looking for a team that has this complementary set of skills, and we've seen that you've done this before. We'd like to help set you up in this team for you guys to go off and deliver this piece within this period of time. And we're going to remunerate you and give you bonuses and performance reviews based on those deliverables. So I think it's going to be a completely different framework for what we're used to. And as far as I'm concerned, hallelujah. It's just been too heavy and onerous, and it needs to be more agile.
Right.
So where do people start? Because I think here in the US, what Ryan and I see both in recruiting and in HR is, okay, got it. Got the message. Feel like, first of all, we're not talking about flying car stuff, which, by the way, I saw a flying car video last night.
Oh, I thought you were going to say
Anyhow,
you saw an actual flying car.
no, I
Overseas.
did.
Okay.
No, I saw it on TV, but yes, it's a flying car.
Okay. Harry Potter.
So yeah, right out of the Jetsons. So I think they know this because we've been talking about it here in the States for 6 years with technology. The technology vendors, especially, have been talking about what AI they have in their particular systems and what it'll do for you, and it's not taking your job and all that stuff. I still feel that most practitioners don't know where to start. And so that it isn't a reluctance to change. It's a observationally, it's a I don't know where do
The
I start
impact is
with
so
this?
big. How do I
Right,
find the right hook to go in?
right.
So there's a couple of places that I'd recommend that are working really well for me. And if we just take a little bit of step back in terms of where Ireland is versus the US, because I'm so much more familiar with where Ireland is, but I watch the US because we're pretty far behind the curve here. So a PwC report came out a couple of weeks ago here. only 6% of businesses in Ireland have deployed AI at any level of scale. So gotten past pilot, gotten past any kind of a proof of concept, come up with a use case. It's only 6%.
Why is that?
Yeah, good call.
So that's why that's why I wanted to start there. It's trust. And it's taken me the past year and a half of just throwing myself into this ever since I came back from that great trip to California in February of 2023. And I was like, oh my God, it's so depressing. The only thing that's interesting is AI because the weather here was so bad. It's taken me the year and a half to realize it's trust. And there's a funny thing about Ireland in the culture where we can be an incredibly, and I say we now because I really do think of myself as more Irish after having spent 30 years, we can be fairly resistant to new things coming down the line. But then when we're in, we're all in.
And for a penny, in for a pound.
So exactly. Take like the smoking ban, for example. Ireland was like, not a chance. Fags, pints, pubs. Are you serious? You're going to take one of the most important things out of the culture? Not a chance.
Never
It's going to
happened.
work. 2 months after it went into place, everybody's outside having their
Yeah,
fag, doing all the right things,
right.
and picking up their cigarettes, putting them in the outside, ashtray, being tidy. Same thing with like the plastic bag levy. Not a chance. How are we going to remember that? That's awful. The day after we implemented that for 2 cents, you had to pay for the plastic bag. Nobody paid for a plastic bag more than one.
Yeah.
No, we
No,
were all there.
I refuse to do it. Ours are a penny by us. Not it used to be a dime. Now it's a penny, and I
Yeah.
still refuse to buy them.
ours still
Well,
costs
nobody
25.
has to here because we're all completely well behaved. But then you take the other statistics on Europe. So I don't have some of these specifically in Ireland, but now on Europe, 90% of leaders in a recent McKinsey survey said they feel unprepared for AI. And a Gartner recent survey came out for EU and
I'm
said,
I'm shocked that's not 100%, by the way. But
well,
go
it's
ahead.
90%.
Yeah.
That I think it's 67%. So I'm going back to the PwC survey. 67% of businesses in Ireland who they've used Copilot. So 90% of businesses in Ireland say they've deployed AI in some form, even though only 6% have deployed at scale. So it's that big of a gap in terms of, in Ireland, what they've really done, what they're calling AI is Copilot and using Microsoft, which isn't, they're not using an LLM. They're not using
Right.
proprietary solutions. So 67% of those Irish businesses are saying, I have no idea how I'm going to get a return on investment on any AI that I make. So trust is big because the whole island hasn't said we're all in. And I have a feeling this year is going to be this massive floodgate opening. And I'm speaking at conferences and to different businesses, in addition to the consultancy work that I do. And I'm saying, if you don't get ahead of the curve now, you're going to be swimming with a million other tadpoles trying to go after the same small set of resources to get ahead in AI. So get there now. And the best ways to go back to your original question, William, on how do you get started? It's like any other change program. You build skills, you demystify it, you show people how, you make it transparent so that they know how AI is being used, they know how it's going to impact them in their roles. You're supporting them to do work differently, and they get to actually choose to a large extent, how do I use this technology in a way that helps me do my work better? So I've actually got 5 enablers that I can kind of step you through, but you want me to bring it on? Bring
Come
it
Yeah,
on.
let's hear them.
Bring it on. So I structure them in this way, and I kind of tend to go in this order, but you can go in different orders. But because I think the skilling piece unlocks trust probably faster than anything else does, I start with the reskilling first. So I have, forgive me for the lack of all these acronyms, but I think the acronyms actually help people remember things, particularly when you're on a podcast and we don't have slides and all that kind of stuff. So the new world of work, because we're now in the new world of work, it's not the future, it's now. The new world of work is wow. So we have wow skills for the new world of work. And those skills are gas seed. So GASCEED, because I couldn't actually come up with an SEED. So the gas, the fuel, is growth mindset, autonomy, and strategic thinking. That's your fuel. And then your C is your creativity, your entrepreneurship, emotional intelligence, including empathy, and decision making. Your seed is your fuel. So it's your fuel for growth. You're reteaching your people creativity, autonomy, entrepreneurship, which they may not have ever learned for the first time, emotional intelligence, in the context of how do I work with a machine? How do I find out what I do best? How do I see what the machine does best? And how do I find out what do I just give to the machine, learn to get accurate, and learn to trust it, teach it, get it doing the right thing, work with my business to be able to do the same thing so that they trust in it, and then just give that work to that machine so that I can do better value-added work. So you reskill. The second thing you do is you put in what I call ethical governance.
Real quick, Stephanie, as you go,
Go for it.
because I think it's good for the audience. You reskill. Is reskilling ever done?
No.
Okay.
Great question. You got a point. You're even now.
Happens.
Great point.
So people have to think of that as a never-ending task.
We always need to be learning.
Okay.
But if you take those 7 gas seed skills and you are constantly investing in growth mindset, acting autonomously, strategic thinking, creativity, etc., you're going to be flying. You are going to be the Jetsons. You're not even going to need the electric, the flying car. You're going to be flying. So the second thing you do is you put your ethical governance in. And in HR, we're hearing a lot about, and this is where we're being tapped on the shoulder a lot. It's because we're pretty good at governance. People are coming and saying, well, could you come and do the AI governance? And HR is going, I don't have a fucking clue how to do this.
That's right.
Well, the governance really isn't about telling what you can and can't do with AI. It's about where is your data going? What's your cyber risk? And let's make sure that you're being compliant, whether it's US compliant, whether it's European compliance on GDPR. Let's make sure you know where your data is going and it's not going out into the cloud unfiltered in a way that's any way risky. So let's look at what that governance is. And part of that governance should be the inspiring vision of how you're using AI in your business. So you've gone out and told your people, this is how we're going to use AI to support you as an employee, not how we're going to replace you, how we're going to support you. Doesn't mean every role stays the same, because again, we need to move from jobs to skills.
I know you didn't put these in order. Sorry, Ryan. I know you didn't put these in order, but it seems that ethics and the interaction with AI is a chicken and egg discussion.
It is.
Do you learn ethical? Do you learn your ethical literacy about AI first, or do you learn how to actually interact with AI and then ethics second?
Another really good question. You're going for the gold here. This is where your company values really come in. If you have company values, if you have genuine company values, if you have relevant company values, but they're not really being lived, this is an opportunity to help them really get lived. So you look at what those values are, or you identify them and say, well, what does that look like in the context of how we operate, how we treat each other, how we treat our customer, and making sure that we're actually being smart about our business requirements and about our reporting, our compliance, etc. So what are all the different aspects of governance? And then where does the use of new technology filter into it? So you don't want it to be this heavy bureaucracy where you're sitting in governance meetings for hours and hours and hours with loads of stuff to do. It's just making sure that you are creating a vision for how you're using AI. You're showing the transparency where AI is being used and how people can actually see, okay, well, where's the actual source for this? If you're giving me a report, show me where in all of our data that it's come from so that we know that it's accurate and that it's been checked. So that's where your governance is. So that's your second thing. Your third thing, and I'll go a little bit faster, but your third thing is creating psychological safety. So if you've got your governance and your transparency and your vision and your skills in place, people are going to feel a lot more safe. But you want to start then really, and you want to do this all the way through. You don't want to necessarily wait till you get to the third step. You want to start all the way through. But you put forums in place and you put listening mechanisms in place to ask people, how do you feel about working with AI? How do you feel now that we've given you these gas seed skills and we've taught you on this technology? Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel like you're making safe decisions? Have you been able to check the bias in what you're doing to make sure you're comfortable with the work you're doing? Do you feel like you can stand up when somebody is saying, this report that you provided, that it's accurate, that it's adding value? So don't just assume that because you've rolled something out that people feel okay with it. So help them feel safe so that they're engaged. So those first three things are going to drive your engagement.
Stephanie, real quick on this point, and is it naive for leadership or for a company to think it's okay to just install applications, it's okay to bring in new tech and just expect the employee base to go with it because you're all adults, you're all working, this is the company, this is what we're doing, jump on ship and let's go. Is that naive of a company to think that way?
It's, I think it is naive. I think it's more than naive. And
Brutish.
we've taken a tough love approach. And we've done this for the past couple of years. And, I know a number of organizations, particularly tech-driven organizations, that have said, well, you just don't have an HR person to talk to anymore.
Right.
You have a chatbot, you've got something that you can go to on your pension, you've got something to go to that actually tells you how to use all these things, but we're not giving you people anymore. And I think a lot of those organizations have figured out that really bites them in the backside because people just go, how am I supposed to have this sense of belonging? Now, DE&I is going to take us down like a rabbit hole that we probably don't want to go on in this particular podcast. We can come back and do another podcast. But it's not about
Ryan, in change management, they call that it's a brutish approach. It's basically we're going to rip the Band-Aid off and
Yeah.
get you to change.
you're forcing something down
Right.
people's throats. And whenever you force change on people, you're automatically going to get change resistance. And to me, the best way to roll out change and to introduce change, you go, as you just did there, as kind of an unconscious motion, William, you go all the way up the value chain.
Yeah.
You start talking to the people who are going to be impacted by change before you've ever even gotten the change really organized or slick. And you're
Right.
going to say to them, look, this is going to sound really messy, but I want to come to you before we've even worked it out to make sure that you as a key stakeholder have a chance to input. And if you don't do that with a key piece of technology that you expect for people to use that impacts their employee experience or how they deliver their job, you're setting yourself up to fail.
Right.
And I think you're setting yourself up for really low adoption. People are just going to work around it. They're going to cherry pick what they have to, and they're not going to use it properly. And you're going to have an under delivering piece of kit.
Right. Right. Well,
Yeah.
we've got about 8 minutes left. You got two more things, so
Okay.
let's get to because they're
You've
going to
got
want
your-
all five of
So
them.
we've got to psychological safety. Now, what we really need to be bringing in, and again, you don't necessarily have to do these all in order because doing them all is important. You want to make sure everything you do with AI relates back to your business results. So what are the top, and the HR should be running themselves like a business anyway. HR should know what are the top 3 financial targets for 2025 and 2026. We can't really think much further out than that anyway. And it's not just the ones that are on like a report or something that's out on the internet. What are the ones Exco are talking about every meeting? What are the really big hot ones? That's what you want your AI to look at, is how can AI help in a way that no other technology or humans can't get us to those financial goals more effectively, more reliably, more consistently. That's where you go with it. That's how you know what use case to start with. It's not just, I got to go find where all the administrative work is and try to get rid of it. It's, what are the 3 biggest financial targets and how does AI help us get there? And then the last but not least is gold. There's a lot of Gartner research around this, so you could easily go into Gartner's websites and type in minimum viable team. So if you bring in a minimum viable team at the center of where your use cases come in, and you've got one team in marketing saying, oh, I want to look at it for all kinds of customer data, and you've got another team in finance going, oh, I want to do it for like financial reports, and you've got customer service, oh, I want to do it here. If you actually take your minimum viable team and they represent the different business pillars and revenue streams in your organization, they need to help you prioritize so that you're not going after the same resources, that you can actually measure each of your AI projects against your business results and make sure that you're giving people the right skills, the right psychological safety, and your governance is focused on the right place. And they're your sense checkers. They're your humans in the loop that are really making sure that everything just stays nice and light and that AI is not becoming something that's bigger than the tool that it's intended to be. And there's all
Are they the same folks that manage the ethical part
I think
of
it should be
AI?
different. I think you
Yeah.
need checks and balances. But they need to interact with each other. They need to hold each other accountable and make sure that they're all, working together on the same hymn sheet.
Yeah, Stephanie, final question on my side. Is it a bigger challenge for companies to reskill for AI, or is it to implement the ethical practices and the governance around it?
Ooh, you might have
Sorry.
got the gold star
No,
on that
that's a
one.
good one right there. That's a good one right there. There's no
Is it
right answer.
harder to reskill or is it harder to get the governance in place? Because I am a learning designer, and that's probably one of the things that I've done, as much as I've changed roles and stuff, that's probably one of the key things that's been consistent. To me, learning is easy. If you go into learning believing you are a great learner in whatever your own unique learning style is, you might be dyslexic, you might have ADHD, there could be any other kind of thing that goes on that you tell yourself, oh, I'm not going to learn this. This is going to be really hard. You could be like my mom. Oh my God, technology, don't make me do anything on the phone. I can only talk on it. If you open yourself up and say, I can learn this, the skilling up is easy. The governance is only hard because you're trying to keep it simple. So if you just keep the principle in mind, this is about keeping us safe. This is about managing our data. This is about helping our people and supporting our customers in the slickest way possible to keep us compliant and keep our noses clean. That's all you want to do.
Drops mic, walks off stage. Stephanie, this has been amazing. Thank you so much
I've so enjoyed it.
for bringing the wisdom and also just giving people a starting place. I think that's just wonderful because I think that's the type of content that they need to hear. So thank you for coming on the
You're
show.
very much. I'm on a mission to help Ireland accelerate its AI adoption, but that's not just limited to Ireland. And it's one of the reasons I wanted to come on your show, is to actually start talking to an American audience who I think are a little bit further ahead.
Not sure, but we'll leave it at
We
that.
think we are.
You look
Thanks
like you are
again.
from the outside.
Yeah. We fake it really well.
Fantastic to meet you guys. Really enjoyed it.
Absolutely.